Facebook at the same time. Hopefully, as always, actually, I need to double check that indeed we're live in both channels. It's a bit challenging every single time, so I always like to confirm. So, okay, Facebook works properly. If not, please let me know. Okay, please stick below the live your comments, and I will be able to see actually whether something is going awfully wrong or not. YouTube works as well. Perfect. So it's time for me to also perfect. Okay, so now that I make sure that everything works properly and I got also the thumbs up from my colleagues, I'm ready to proceed with the live analysis as always. With if we are in between any significant news announcements and etc., we are trying to be with you. We're doing our best to help you that very moment of the announcement. So today, as usual, I did the same thing last month in December in the last meeting from ECB. It was I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was 10th of December. So live analysis, how the euro, in general, the market will react on any significant comments, hints, something that comes out from Ms. Lagarde and her officials, her ECB officials. So I will try to do a quick briefing, okay, where we are standing right now. Before we have actually the Fed, the ECB, sorry, my mistake, the ECB conference, which is less than 15 minutes from now. So we have already out the rate decision. You know, the rate decision is 30 minutes prior the meeting, as always. So as expected, indeed, they kept low the rates unchanged. That was pretty much expected. They didn't have any, as you might already know, if you are following the news, if you are keep watching our analysis, if you keep watching the current affairs in the world, the second wave actually hit it even more aggressively the economy. So we are not really discussing in 2020 regarding a recovery, but we are discussing about a very high probability of UK and EU to suffer or to face a double deep technical recession in the first quarter. So we're not really into the position to confirm the possibility of a recovery yet. So as expected, the ECB confirmed that he kept the negative 0.5% policy rates. Watching my calendar, yes, interest rates decision. So interest rate kept zero, deposit rate kept to negative 0.5%, while we have seen a small part of the statement that probably Ms. Lagarde will read out loud in 10 minutes, in which it looks that there is a slight compromise to the hawks, but nothing else than that. If I just read out loud to you that part of the statement, so according to the ECB, if favorable financial conditions can be maintained with an asset purchase flows that do not exhaust the envelope over the net purchase horizon of the PEPP program, the envelope need not to be used in full. So what that means in simple terms, we keep saying, and if you are following us, if you keep watching or reading our analysis page, we said that today, the rates were expected unchanged. However, we're expecting whether Ms. Lagarde will come out and say, okay, we will use in full our current recovery programs, PEPP program and TLTROs, or whether this will be postponed for the next meeting. So if I just take this part of the statement, it looks that they will do nothing today. They will not postpone the deadline for the PEPP programs and the TLTROs program, but they might repeat what they said in December, that they will keep monitoring the market, and they will use the recovery programs in full if necessary, and so on and so forth. But I don't want really to discuss about it right now. Anyway, this Ms. Lagarde will be out in 10 minutes, so I will just check in my news flows, and we will check for her remarks anyway as she speaks. So before I go through the market, I can see that we already have some questions. That's perfect, actually. So give me 5 minutes to do a resume, to a summary, where we're standing, where is euro, where is dollar, where is pound, and so on and so forth, and then we can shift to the MT4, and I will go through all of your questions one by one, all the assets that you want me to cover in this live streaming. So, sorry, I needed a bit of coffee. So, just let's summarize. The theme of the day was a weaker dollar. So dollar actually is more than 6 days to the downside, and there are actually a lot of reasons for that. So one of the main reasons is the equity market. Equity market actually is at fresh record highs since yesterday, something that weighted on the dollar. It's a bit like a risk-on flows that weighted dollar and shifted flows into equities once again, gold, commodity currencies, base metals, precious metals, both silver and gold. I already mentioned gold, and etc. But also significantly base metals as well, which we have seen that they have lifted. So it's interesting to have a look on other kind of metals like nickel, aluminium, copper, platinum, palladium. There are actually other assets that you could consider monitoring in your daily trading routine. So the reason also, let's not forget, let me remind you actually that an additional factor of dollar weakness and dollar softness in general is everything that has to do with the US massive stimulus package from Mr. Biden. So as you already know, the markets are anticipating the new US President Biden to announce, to confirm a massive 1.9 trillion stimulus package, along with any relevant associated, if you prefer, asset price surge. So this is something that, on the one hand, it boost to the downside. It pressured the yields, okay, which actually, for example, the US 10-year Treasury yield dropped below 1% for the first time since early January, just today. While on the other hand, the knowledge or the anticipation or even the confirmation of such massive stimulus from the government is something that also weighs on dollar softness, okay? And in general, the market sentiment, you should know that is a bit remains actually bearish on dollar, also in the context of reflation trade, okay? So we have a gamma of things. We have vaccine. We have the vaccine assisted return to the normality, fingers crossed. We have the massive global stimulus, not only from US, but from all over the world, but especially US. We have also the anticipation that in the near term, due to this stimulus, due to this massive stimulus that the governments are announcing, we're going to have spending being built up slowly in regards to the consumer, since we have a lot of consumer savings due to the continuous ongoing lockdowns all over the world. So all these cause the reflation trade, as we call it, on the view that the US assets which are associated, of course, with the greenback, with the US dollar, are overvalued against emerging markets and against peers as well. Okay, so bearish dollar due to inflation, trade, massive stimulus, as we already mentioned, while it's been in general bearish, it's been in general under a lot of pressure since the Senate runoff elections, since Georgia runoff elections, if you remember, where the Democrats won the control of the Senate, given the implication for growth and Fed policy as well. So these are some of the things that weighed on the dollar significantly. And of course, the Fed, the lower for longer rate, the extension of quantitative easing, and so on and so forth. Something that I missed about Mr. Biden is that also Mr. Biden, Yellen, both of them have on their agenda, they're really big fans of tax hikes. So the fact that we have right now officially as President of the United States, Mr. Biden, and okay, Yellen we haven't confirmed Ms. Yellen as a Treasury Secretary yet, but if she managed to be to confirm her place as a Treasury Secretary, then that strengthens the scenario for a tax tax hikes in the United States. Okay. Tax hikes in order to be given for infrastructure projects, as Mr. Biden suggested in his electoral agenda, something that such as spending, and on the other side, huge spending, higher depth for the United States, so implies with weak dollar. Now, just 3 minutes before the ECB, I'm speaking a lot, so okay, we've just quickly covered euro, okay, and at the same time I will share my screen with you. So here, let me just, guys, I can see your questions, don't worry about it, give me a few minutes, and I will start. Here we have euro dollar 1 hour chart. Before I start, I'm sorry, I cannot really speak in French. I'm a Greek Cypriot, so I only speak Greek, I'm afraid, and English. My apologies for that. My apologies. Really sorry for that. So, okay, that's euro dollar 1 hour chart. I'm sure that you can see it. So we have seen that euro dollar. Sure you can see my arrow. No. Okay, I'm not sure whether you can see my arrow or not. Never mind. No, you can. Perfect. So this is euro dollar. Since yesterday, you have seen that it managed to recover. So this was the peak yesterday, which Andrea accidentally put in a with a black color in a black background. Huge mistake. So here it is, perfect. So yeah, since yesterday, that was the decline that we have since yesterday, but it managed to recover full of these losses. It managed to recover all of the losses since yesterday's decline. And what was the reason behind that? It was, of course, actually was several reasons why that happened. So one of the reasons is that, other than the fact that the European stock markets were mostly higher on the anticipation of ECB meeting, also the weaker dollar, as the risk appetite was getting stronger and stronger and stronger, something that helped the euro. But nonetheless, the immediate, as the focus was on ECB, the markets look to have priced in already the possibility of PEPP and TLTRO's programs to be bolstered, to be extended, actually, and that and also that the ongoing policy will remain in place. So pretty much of a surprised in of those on the ECB anticipation, but let's not forget all those reasons that I mentioned in regards to the weaker dollar, the fundamentals below the dollar. Okay, so let's see the technicals though. Okay, so let's see the technicals behind it. Let me double check the news feed. 31, she's not up yet. Perfect. So, okay. So you can see my MT4. That's brilliant. Okay. So, okay, guys. Let me put the chat on. Hello, hello. Oh gosh, a lot of people here. CAD, strong or weak? Okay, I will come to that in a minute. Okay, let's start with euro dollar, because I had a lot of questions about euro dollar. It was the very, very first one. In euro pound, good call as well. I had just posted an article in regards to euro pound and cable as well. So let's start with euro dollar. As you can see, and as I already mentioned, it spiked higher, breaking yesterday's resistance. Can you see that fractal? It was yesterday's peak. Break it just now, break the first resistance of the day, and I will try today not to discuss about the daily chart. I would like to stick to the 1 hour chart. So as you can see, we have fully recovered yesterday's losses, and upper Bollinger is expanding to the upside, is extending to the upside. Fast moving average, just to remind you, this is our Stewart setup actually, and I kind of like it. That's why I use it as well. 5, this is the green line, is 5 exponential moving average, and the yellow line is 9 exponential moving average. Okay, so you can see that they both pointing upwards after they have bullishly crossed. So the 5 cross above the 9, suggesting that near-term positive bias. This is something that happened overnight. So, but since then, they keep extending to the upside. A bit of a pullback over here as the European session opened, but they continue to the upside as well, and they keep pointing to the upside, something that suggests that near-term bulls holding the control, at least for the near term. And this is the 1 hour chart, I remind you. Okay. On the flip side, MACD also slightly extended to the upside. Oh, my face is on, you cannot really see it clearly. Maybe if I extended it, you would be able to see it. My talking head is there. Okay. It's extending higher. Okay. Also confirming positive bias. While RSI is pointing to the upside as well, with RSI 67 just below the 70 barrier, key barrier. So if it crosses, there is further steam to the upside, but we need a decisive candle to close actually above that 121.60 territory. for the time being, 1 hour chart looks that remains in an upwards channel, but it needs to confirm a close of the candle or a continuation of this pattern above the first resistance. Daily chart in the meantime, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 days above the 50-day moving average. This is the 50-day moving average. Managed to sustain this 50-day moving average as a nice support for the pair, but we cannot really say that euro will get back to where it was 2 weeks ago before, because it didn't manage to do a substantial recovery. It needs to at least get back above the 20-day moving average, so that means above 122 level, in order to suggest that we might see a retest of 123.50. Hopefully that covers everyone that is asking about euro dollar. Euro pound. Now, euro pound. I'm sure I had it somewhere. And here it is. Actually, I found pound and cable very, very interesting today, because they have managed to break significant pivot points. What do I mean by that? This is the euro pound in a daily chart. If you have noticed, I have a line over here, dotted line, a dotted support level, which is a key support level. It is the 0.8860 territory, which is around 8 months support territory. So since May last year, the asset never managed to break below that territory. So you see, it's some kind of a strong support level. You see, it retested it in June, tried to retest it again in September, it didn't manage, tried to retest it again on November, didn't manage, it fell, and right now is the first time after 8 months that it managed to close below it and even move so far today below it. So that key support area was actually finally broken. Of course, we don't have the confirmation yet if tomorrow's session, or even Monday's session, tomorrow is Friday, tomorrow's session or Friday, Monday's session continue posting fresh lows, then that will strengthen the medium-term outlook. And by saying medium-term, I'm actually meaning like few weeks and days and weeks. So something like that, a continuation, another low today, a nice bearish candle today at the end of the session, another one maybe on Monday, sorry, they will actually confirm that, or they will suggest that the asset is built in some kind of an increasing negative bias, bearish bias, because let's not forget that RSI is already pointing to 30, to cross the 30. MACD is anyway negative already and is like extending further to the downside, so the medium-term picture for euro pound remains negative. 1 hour chart now, let me zoom in. In the 1 hour chart, things are quite different. Overall, the momentum indicators are still negative. And if you notice, we have lower lows since Monday, since Tuesday more precisely. Lower lows, but right in today, so far today, the asset managed to rebound away from this support level. However, it's below its pivot. So as long as it remains below its pivot, then this looks to be just a correction of this decline. Negative bias from MACD, RSI remains below 50, so something that also suggests that the outlook remains to the downside. Yeah, so we need at least a break and a closure above pivot. For now, what this looks to be like is like down, some correction, down, correction. And we don't have either a cross yet, a confirmed cross from fast MAs. So let's wait and see. But it's below its pivot, so what were the characteristics, the technical characteristics are mostly negative than positive. Now in the 30 minutes chart, I could zoom in. Okay, we have seen that appreciation and a positive cross over here, but it stalled the last 2 hours, failed to move further to the upside. So let's be patient and see. So let's move to cable. The other one that triggered our attention. Why? Because it broke. If you watch over here, I had another dotted line. So I can see your questions. Let me also share it with the people actually. So Peter asking for cable. And I have other questions from... I have already replied to Mr. Stanley in regards to euro pound and euro dollar. And now I'm replying to Mr. Peter and Mr. Don Miula. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm afraid my mistake. About pound. They both ask about pound. So now we are on pound. So you can see that I have a dotted line, as I said. The reason why I have a dotted line is because this is the 33 months resistance. So if I quickly show you the monthly chart, you can see that the asset in 2019 and in 2020 never managed to move above this resistance area, but it managed to do that today, posting a fresh high since actually May 2018. 33 months, if I did correctly the month, 33 months resistance was broken. So let's switch back to the daily chart. And the nice about it is that there is some kind of a channel. I don't know whether you can see that as well, but it's doing some higher highs, higher lows. This is my daily chart, okay? Higher highs, higher lows. I will try to apply a regression channel over here to see whether it fits. Okay, this standard deviation regression. This standard deviation channel it has a lot of deviation, so we try to amend that. Yeah, I think that works quite better than the previous. Or let me just try also. Okay, much better. This provides a nicer, closer upper and lower trend line. You see, it is touching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nearly 5 of my highs and even more low. So this is a nice channel. This is a daily chart. So as you can see, since September 2020, it keeps appreciating slowly. So actually, pound, it's very interesting, to be honest, because it was sorry, I'm running out of steam as well. So pound is actually one of the currencies that appreciated the most the last year, and according to some stats that I saw earlier, I was from... where was it from? I don't remember where it was from, but they were saying that pound actually benefited 22%, if I'm not right, against dollar. So it shows that the pound actually had a significant appreciation against dollar the last year so far. Okay, pound has a lot of positives but some negatives as well. That's why it has saw this extension to the upside. It has seen all this strength. Okay, some of the key factors why pound got stronger is that we have seen actually that there were some reports, confirmed reports from reliable sources, reliable financial house published houses, that there is a substantial number of long-term investors that they got interested in US assets over the last year, and that's something that has been undervalued by the impact of both the longish procedure in Brexit procedure and the COVID lockdown. So this was the benefit of this is something that also benefited pound. Also, there is UK is doing quite good in regards to how many people are being vaccinated. It has a huge number of people that they have already been vaccinated, and that's, I think it's the number one country in the world. I'm not sure about it, I cannot really confirm that, but for sure they have managed to vaccinate 25% of their population, so 1/4 of the whole population already. Okay, uh, and and they keep going and going on. They hope that by the mid of February they will manage to cover all of the high risk groups of people in UK. While on the other side, the government has actually hinted that it might reverse out the restrictions. So that's two positive factors for pound. While on the flip side, we had seen yesterday December inflation from Eurozone, Germany, and UK. And actually, UK had an impressive data out for December, much warmer than expected, and actually showing a yearly growth, a slight one, but a growth at 0.6% in year-over-year basis. This is some of the factors that they've been positive for pound, along, of course, with the fact that Brexit is out of the way, and just the financial section is yet to be discussed. So, as I told you, cable is following some kind of an upwards channel in the medium term daily chart and weekly chart. If I flip to the 1 hour chart now, the intraday stuff, we can see that it has appreciated significantly since Monday, recovered any losses that we have seen on Friday, it moved above it. And if I zoom in a bit, you can see that it topped today at 137.45. It was, however, overbought. You can see that you should know that the theory of Bollingers suggests that if the asset is outside the Bollingers, then it's in an extreme condition. It is overbought in this situation. So any overbought or oversold condition, any extreme condition needs a correction. So we have seen a slight pullback to 137 lows, but it managed to remain above its resistance. So this looks to be a consolidation mode from now onwards, since the fast MAs have flattened. They're pointing to the right hand side, something that suggests consolidation. But nonetheless, the momentum indicators remain positive. Can you see that? Not sure whether you can, but I think I'm stretching in a bit so you could. So yeah, MACD is well above zero. It saw a bit of a small slight lower histogram lines in the last 2 hours, but nothing significant because it's well above its neutral zone, strongly positive. RSI corrected a bit, came below 70, hold however support above 60, and now is pointing to the upside. So medium, actually short-term outlook remains positive with near-term consolidating mode. That was on cable. Sorry. Let's move on. Oh, okay. I'm watching a bit of your questions. There are people spamming me, unfortunately. So, okay. Question, Bitcoin. Someone asking about Bitcoin. And I can, okay, I have a gold request as well. Okay, and I will check actually YouTube's questions. So CAD, sorry for being late, Mr. Mohammed. You asked for CAD like ages ago. Let's move on to CAD then. Oh, sharp decline the last hour. And let me double check before we go to the technical stuff whether something happened. And yes, it did. Okay, so dollar CAD slipped and break the 126 level. If I'm not mistaken, this is a multi-year low. Let me confirm that. If I go back to my weekly chart, yes, this was a key support area, key floor, round number 126, which hasn't been retested since April 2018. So broke, extended this decline, the sharp decline that we have seen since the February last year, continues extending this decline. This is a nice channel to have it in your charts, just to keep monitoring the progress of dollar CAD. So extending decline, getting back to below its middle line. And this was because of the, let me double check my news feed. That was because of ADP number from Canada. So at the same time with Ms. Lagarde, we have ADP employment, which dropped for December from Canada. Let me put that on actually, so you will be able to see it as well. Share it with you. Hopefully I can. Yeah, perfect. So something that waited on sorry, not waited, my mistake. Let me double check. So we have an ADP employment change negative 28.8 thousand, but the previous number was negative 200. Okay, 2020 to amend to show you from negative 22. So this was, even though that's a negative reading, as you can see, it actually is a positive at the same time, because the employment from negative, the employment change from negative 200, actually 2.2 million in November. It shows a growth, and now it's just at 28.8 thousands. So, but on the same time, we have comments from the leader, from the Bank of Canada leader, Mr. Macklem, if I pronounce it correctly, that I think this is what drove actually Canadian dollar the most, is that Canada won't need as much quantitative easing over time under base case. So what that means, guys, actually, here I am. Let's put the 1 hour chart, dollar CAD 1 hour chart. What that means, this is actually positive. Why? Hopefully you can hear me. Yes, you can. I can see your comments, so seems that you're still here. So dollar CAD is shifting to the downside. Let's see to this 30 minutes chart on this Mr. Macklem news. This is because by if the Bank of Canada leader stating something like that, what he simply tries to say is that, you know what, we already have a sufficient, I would say, um, um, policy on in order to face this pandemic and this recession and this growth, this recession that we are facing. But because so far the Canadian economy, as he said, has considerable degree of stimulus, they it's like they are hinting they will not do anything else for the moment. They will keep what they have right now. They will not extend quantitative easing. They will not change their policy. So since he don't really alert or hint or suggest that they considering more quantitative easing, then that's why Canadian dollar is actually appreciated, because it's like it's suggesting that they will not uh, try to boost the economy with more and more money. That's actually something that was benefit for the dollar, of the Canadian dollar, for the loon in general. If we consider also that structural dollar weakness that we are facing. So the base case that he said is that we don't need to add more stimulus. So if they don't add more stimulus, that's positive for CAD. But on the flip side, the US will add more stimulus, so negative for dollar. So CAD up, dollar down. CAD stronger than US dollar. Okay, simple as that. If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know, and I will try to explain with the simplest possible way as possible. So dollar CAD, as I show you, to the downside since March. If I click to the daily chart, extending lower with some lower highs, lower lows. And if I emphasize on the 1 hour chart, you can see that it just broke with a fresh new low, breaking this support area that I had at 126 level, round number. Let me put it exactly there. And nonetheless, it also break that 1, 2, 3 low fractals, the previous 3 low fractals of since we have seen since yesterday. Something that suggested that bears took the control on the news, on the comments from Mr. Macklem. So okay, it's a bit. However, despite that boost to the downside, nonetheless, let's not forget that it is very, very, very dodgy over here. You can see, so very, very small candles, stack actually, not stick, stack with this in this range since yesterday, since overnight. So as long as we don't see a break of 126, a decisive closure of that candle, and a turn further to the downside from dollar CAD, or at least a strong rebound, then in the near-term future, the 1 hour chart remains ranking. So we have a ranking market over here, consolidation, clearly consolidation, sideways. We don't have a direction, a clear direction, at least. Below its pivot, above its support, stuck over here. But the long term, as I already mentioned, remains in a down channel with the asset extending declines for a second day in a row below the middle line of this range. That was on dollar CAD. So I have replied to Mohammed. the I've replied to Mohammed. Guys, cut strong or weak? We have already did I say that? I cannot really tell, but hopefully you understand from my analysis. 99%. What a name. Okay, you already mentioned, you asked about euro. We covered euro, but since you asked, I would like to see whether Miss Lagarde said anything that it wasn't expected, just to keep an eye on the news. So, Miss Lagarde, okay, the question and answers have already are in place right now. So here come FX appreciation is a drag on inflation. So okay, Lagarde really wanted to underscore how long they have been buying bonds, and that has. So okay, we still have. Let me just find out the remarks from here. Okay, the so far comments that I can see from here is that she calls, sorry, that Brexit deal and the vaccination are of course positive factors for the economy. That was the logic thing to say. She said that inflation to turn positive due to the German VAT cut. ECB aims to preserve favorable financial conditions, so they are ready to do whatever it takes until they achieve favorable conditions. This is what she's trying to say. She said that pandemic period is until at least March 2022. Okay, that's quite crucial, because she didn't really. She's shifting it to a year from now. So. So this is something that suggests that any effects of the pandemic will last until March next year. So possibly by March next year, we might see ECB keeping this lower for longer policy. So what she really wanted to say, we guess, or what we are getting from the so far remarks, is that they might keep similar, if not the same policy, at least for the whole 2020. Let me check another website. Do we have any further news from here? Also, she highlighted that the buying bonds that they have done and they will continue to do is something that also helped euro significantly, and this is quite true. The euro was also helped and benefited by the buying the bonds purchases. So okay, until we have any further news in regards to the question and answer session from Ms. Lagarde, let me get back to the markets, get back to the to our MT4. So euro dollar remains to the upside. Fast MAs haven't really changed. Momentum haven't really changed. So a bit tail, because we have the ECB right now. We have Ms. Lagarde speaking right now. So that's why we had that boost and that pressure that closed very close to the open price. But let's not forget that 121.60 is a key resistance area as well. So let's be patient and see how that will go. We said about CAD, we said about dollar, buying and not use not use magic. Biden is is about to actually announce some magics with that massive stimulus, and it would be very, very interesting in the long term to see his approach in regards to the trade relationship with China, with Europe, with all over the world, with UK as well. ECB confused so far. It's not confused, I'm afraid, dear. Let's not forget that if everything might have already been priced in, and let's not forget that dollar is weak, the weakest currency so far, due to all those reasons that I mentioned. So is not so confused. It was expected that they will keep the rates unchanged. Will keep the rates as long as the economy shows some kind of a recovery. They will keep the quantitative easing. They will keep all those packages, not only the PPP program, TLTROs program, but all those rescue package that they gave to European governments, all that loans that they gave until they get some data back that the growth is back to our lives. So pretty much everything were expected. So I cannot really see from the Ms. Lagarde's so far comments anything that it wasn't expected. So for the time being, everything in line with the expectations. Something that she also mentioned is that ECB is ready to adjust all instruments as needed, something that she repeated in December, of course. She said that they will keep monitoring the euro and any impact that the inflation might have to the euro. Like Mr. Koruta yesterday from Bank of Japan, and like Canada from yesterday, from Bank of Canada yesterday, they said that uncertainty all over the world remains. Downside risk to the short term remains, because anyway we have new restrictions from Germany, from Greece, from UK, and so on and so forth. So lockdowns all over the place, something that will disrupt, of course, the activity, the consumer activity, the businesses. So nothing is really new. Okay, hopefully I'm not mistaken, but this is I see very, very common comments with December's agenda, with December's statement. That's why euro has appreciated well before the actual ECB, because we really much anticipated this kind of statement, this kind of policy and announcement. Okay, but I will remain like close to the comments to see whether we're gaining anything else from it. So it's your time anyway. Ask me anything you want. I will be here to help you. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let me put a new capture as well. Chat. Okay, we said about okay, gold. I forgot that people were asking about gold. So let's flip to gold. Anyway, if you missed an asset, this video will stay in YouTube and in Facebook, so you can, whenever you have time, you can go back and check the asset you are mostly interested in. This is gold. We have seen that gold found some kind of a boost yesterday, so we have flipped to the 1 hour chart. We have seen that it appreciated this week. Okay, so boosted to the upside on dollar weakness, on the risk on flows as well. But however, it topped at 1874, 75 earlier, and it dipped right now. So interestingly, we have over here a bearish cross from the fast MAs. So it looks that the near term outlook, the 1 hour outlook, is getting is getting a bit negative because, okay, how can I just, okay, yes, so you can see that MACD is deepening. It's actually declining below its signal line, something that suggests negative bias, that bears are increasing. So we might see further dip, of course, if it breaks the pivot point of the day. But for now, we're seeing a bit of a fight between bulls and bears because the negative bias is increasing. So actually, the positive bias is decreasing. RSI is below 50. We had that pullback, but as long, and we had also that bearish cross of 9 and 5, but we need, it's still above its pivot. So if it does, only if it breaks that level, the 1858.50, it could get back to the first support of the day at 1845. As long as it doesn't break that, then any move higher again, it could suggest a fresh high in the 1 hour chart. That's the near term outlook, the 1 hour outlook. The daily chart is not so promising for pound, because from gold, to be honest, because it's a bit more choppy. But we have a kind of a, let me just, oh, sorry, wrong line. We have a bit like a double top over here, so automatically this is a key resistance area in the daily chart. On the same time, if I put my Fibonacci on, we could see that the asset is at 38% Fibonacci level. So a move above 38.2, which also, and over here, it also coincides with, so actually a move above 1875, okay, the peak that we've seen today, which coincides with the 20-day moving average, is something that could turn the attention to 50% retracement level and the first resistance of the day at 1885, but also at the 1900s territory. So let me zoom out a bit. If the asset managed to get back above the highs of the day, the next key resistance are those two significant resistance levels over here, 1885, 1900s. That was for gold. Okay, let's go through dollar yen. Dollar yen, yes, sure, absolutely. Dollar yen. Dollar yen. So if I just, let's start with the daily chart. Continues. You see, this is a weekly chart. A continuous deep downwards channel since May last year. So if I just zoom in a bit, this is my daily chart. Lower highs, lower lows. Right now, actually since the end of December, it managed to move above the 103. The 103.50 territory. It posted high over here at 104 for something, turned down, and it's consolidating for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. However, if I close, if I zoom in a bit, you can see that yesterday it closed for the first time since 7th of January, so for the last 2 weeks, it closed for the first time below the 20-day moving average. So that was a bit key, interesting. However, so far today is like a bit choppy. What I mean by that, its open price is very close to the current price. So choppy, can you see, is bouncing. This is the 1 hour chart, is bouncing between pivot point and first support, is bouncing between this area. So it's in consolidation in the 1 hour chart. Any break of pivot, okay, it could retest the first resistance of the day at 103.80, while any turn back lower again, or even a break of the first support of the day, could take us further down, further lower to 103.15. So since we are consolidating, we can see only consolidation in the 1 hour chart, and we'll flip down to the 30 minutes chart to see what's going on over here. So you can see up in the pivot, down to the resistance, up, down to the resistance, up to the pivot. So however, with a bullish cross over here that actually confirmed that, actually alert signal that boost to the pivot point. For the time being, in this 30-minute session, is struggling to break the pivot point. So we might see another pullback at this level. So we need to wait another 15 minutes for that candle to close in order to see what's going on. But remember, if we are in a ranking market in a consolidation mode, any retest of the upper level suggests that in the near future it will get back down again, while any retest of the lower line suggests that we might see in the near future a possible rebound. So it would be interesting to see in this 30-minute chart how this candle will close in exactly 14 minutes from now. 1-4. Yeah, this is the 15-minute chart. Fail. So yeah, let's wait and see. Hopefully that helps you, my dear Usman. We have analyzed gold, dollar Swiss. Okay, dollar Swiss. Swiss is a safe haven, let's not forget that. However, it's been like a bit choppy since December. Sideways within 89 and down to 88, 87, 50 territory. Sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days in a row. Above its 20-day moving average. So flat in the daily chart. Let's check the 1 hour chart. It is moving below pivot since early in the morning. Actually, the whole day is moving below its pivot. Is retesting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours in a row the first support of the day, while it had a long tail over here. So that is interesting. We have, as you can see, a lot of pressure to the downside, right? Can you see that? We have a lot of pressure to the downside. Okay, this is not ideal. A lot of pressure to the downside, but just for your own information, this candle, this long tail and this small body is actually more of a bearish sign, bearish signal than a bullish one. Why? This suggests that even despite the fact that bulls managed to close the session, the 1 hour session, positive for dollar Swiss, the bears fight a lot. How can I say that? Actually pressure a lot. So there is a much more in the 1 hour chart at least bearish bias than bullish. Okay, so that's a bit interesting, but we don't have like clear indication. But okay, MACD is negative, of course, is extending further to the downside, confirming this decline that we've seen, this down channel that we've seen since yesterday. RSI remains below pivot, below 50, sorry, but is pointing further to the upside on this 1, 2, 3 slightly positive hours. So yeah, actually, if I just shift to the 30 minutes chart, we can see that it managed also to recover 50% of the losses that we have seen since morning, but remains below its pivot. So yeah, we might see another trial for a lower high before any possible pullback down again. So yeah, negative bias remains. Thank you for your kind comments, Avid. Already reply in regards to pound. When do you see the financial reset occurring? I cannot really tell, but if everything continues and if we assume that the seasonality of the weather, the vaccination is doing good and the majority of the world vaccinated, if the indeed um, if indeed things goes actually in a positive with a positive scenario, I can really I hope actually that the financial year will reset in the second half of 2021. I'm afraid, or even better, actually back in 2022. So by 2022, we could actually see a confirmed recovery. Fingers crossed. But at least for the near term, I believe that the economy recovery, the global economy recovery, or at least the European one and US one, to the major country, the major economies in the world after China, they will see some kind of a reset, as you call it, in their financials in the second half of the year, so after June. China is already in a good path. It's already showing growth. It's one of the fewest, I think it's the only country in the world and the biggest economy in the world with US that actually managed to remain open. I mean, they continue their imports, their exports, the whole 22, not the whole 22. After the first lockdown, they didn't have a second lockdown like us. After April, yeah, they finished their lockdowns in April, and since then they have never closed. So they continue their imports, they continue their exports, they continue their businesses. And this is the case so far today. Even though they are fearing for a second wave, nothing closed, or at least not the majority of the China has closed. I think only a city close to Beijing has closed so far, so which is not significant. So yeah, that everything that I had to say to you, Jonathan. That's a great question. Actually, hopefully I replied. If you meant anything else, let me know and I will reply. No other questions. That's weird. We said about gold. Hi, Andre. We are actually teaching for free, my dear, at Holo. This is what it's about. It's a free teaching. We are doing also free webinars twice a week, three times a week. So everything is free. Even our analysis is free. So yeah, this is a free teaching, I'm afraid. Okay, so what else? Let's see. I'm checking for any final questions. You are not too late. I will finish the session. Dear Chala, Munkenian Chala, if you're still here and you are hearing me, I will end the session soonish. But anyway, I'm recording it, so you will be able to see my gold analysis. If you don't have the time, go quickly to our analysis page, click on commodities, on metals, and you'll see a very brief, actually more in detail analysis for gold in the near and short and the long term as well. Weekly pivots are very important. It shows you where pairs are hitting to exactly. Very powerful indicator, Andre. So if I don't have any questions from you guys, I need to call it a date. I will finish with Bitcoin. Last and not least, because I'm already more than an hour live, so I'm a bit tired, to be honest. Okay, so I will finish with and oil. So no one asked for oil. That's weird, but okay, I will start with oil because I have something very interesting to show you for Bitcoin. So let's check quickly oil. Okay, oil found nice support at 52.70, trying to break the pivot point. So sideways, a lot of choppiness, maybe because of the Canadian announcement from Mr. McLean and the employment. But in general, you should know that oil remains at the high territory since for more than a year now. So it's at 53. It's like the positive. Can you see that? The daily outlook remains quite positive for oil. Can you see that? Can you see this bullish cross? This bullish, well above zero, bullish bias, bullish positive bias holds for oil in the daily chart. And this is because of OPEC. Oh, I think there is an earthquake. Oh my God. Actually, there is an earthquake right now. I'm sorry. So I might need to call it. It's a bit dangerous. My floor is shaking. That's very interesting. So, okay. I need to call it a date. I will be quick. Keep an eye on oil. What affects the oil? Sorry, because of okay, I'm a bit dizzy. So earthquake, not something very common for Cyprus, I'm afraid. Okay, I won't stop. Oil, a bit has a lot of downside risk as long as virus continues with higher and higher deaths. Sorry, there are a huge concerns about the demand in the first quarter of the year for January, February, March. However, this is balanced a bit because let's not forget that OPEC, and more precisely Saudi Arabia, has voluntarily proceeded to production cuts until March and April. So that was positive, something that supported oil. So that was on oil. For 1 hour chart is sideways. Any break of pivot, and more precisely, any break of that upper level could retest yesterday's highs. On the downside, I feel I'm shaking still. Any break of this latest fractal could open the doors to 52 lows. Daily remains positive. You can see how well it was supported by the 20-day moving average. As long as we don't see any decisive break of this 20-day moving average, outlook remains positive. So last but not least, because I need to go, Bitcoin, okay? Bitcoin, I was watching it and monitoring the last few days. This is the 4-hour chart, okay? And I noticed a descending triangle which broke today. Okay, so keep that in mind. Any further decline could actually confirm, could actually suggest further dips for Bitcoin, even though you see, can you see in this daily chart how big is that daily candle? It managed to break my descending triangle, to break the 20-day moving average. So we need to monitor it a bit, because if this close tonight so aggressively, and if we continue with another negative session tomorrow, so things are quite bad for Bitcoin. So let's wait and see. But it's very interesting that it has rejected my descending triangle. Keep an eye on it. It's very, very interesting. I find it a bit interesting. We'll see what's going on. It might be just profit taking as we're going close to the end of the week. But dollar weakness should appreciate Bitcoin. But it seems that there is a shift away from Bitcoin the last 2 days. Keep an eye on it. I found it very interesting. That's why I wanted to share it with you. So that's it. Silver, my dear, the Brasada, similar to very, very close to gold, I'm afraid. Okay, I will finish with that. I don't want to disappoint you. I will finish with silver, my messy silver chart. Okay, you can see that silver, this is the 1 hour chart, is in an upwards move since Friday, and well above Ichimoku cloud. Okay, it corrected a bit this today after this peak on 26. It turned slightly lower, but it's still above the first resistance of the day. So positive bias remains as long as it doesn't really it hasn't really broken the first resistance of the day at 25.60, or this trend line that I have put connecting the lows since Friday. So remains in an upwards channel with some pullbacks. But remember, if we have a channel, any pullback and a retest of the lower line, if it's followed with a rebound, suggests that it is another higher low in order for the continuation of the up channel, if you understand what I mean. So daily picture, sorry, it's a bit messy. I will delete some indicators, but daily picture, as you can see, is sideways, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in a row is moving sideways between 25.70 and 24.30 territory. This is a daily chart, so flat daily chart. Intraday in an up channel since Friday. Any move below resistance in below 25.60, or any break of this 25.3 level, which coincides with the 38.2 Fibonacci level, and it will mean that it's gonna enter my Ichimoku. It will opens the doors to 24 territory, but for the time being is well above this level, so remains positive, with RSI above 90 and MACD still positive. Hopefully that helped you. Thank you all for attending. Take care as well. We're in the middle of a pandemic, I'm afraid, so take care. Keep yourself safe and at home. That's the best you could do. So I need to call it a day. Thank you very much for attending. Hopefully I helped you today with anything that you couldn't understand, with the assets that you asked me to cover. Have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again next week, most probably. Thank you very much for attending. Hope you're having a great day ahead, and see you again soon. Bye-bye.